I disagree with the Texas judge's ruling, and the Justice Department will appeal. This is not the first time where a lower court judge has blocked something or attempted to block something that ultimately was shown to be lawful.
Alongside Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, back with you on America's Forum. There was our president calling his executive action on amnesty lawful, despite the decision of a Texas federal judge to block those unilateral immigration actions.
Now the White House is asking a federal appeals court to lift the lower court's order or limit its effect to Texas and the other 25 states that are against his actions.
Sounds like we need somebody who knows all about the law, and that's why we're going to call in our good friend Congressman Ted Poe of Texas, a former judge. One of his assignments is chairing the Subcommittee on Terrorism, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and remaining with us this hour, our good friend from Newsmax LA, Larry Elder. So, Ted, when I was serving with you, we talked about national security and our border. You live there in Texas. The Texas judge stood up, but this thing is going to go to the New Orleans-based Court of Appeals. What do you think is going to happen on this appeal?
I think that the President of the United States will lose again. And it's a federal judge, let's be clear about that. It's a federal judge, not a state judge, said that the administration's action of legalizing basically 5 million people was such egregious that he had to order an injunction to prevent that executive action from taking place because it violated the law. And technically, he didn't even get to the issue of constitutionality. The judge said that the administration did not open up this order for public comment. And very narrow decision, but I've looked at it, I've read it, and it's lawful. And the president is, he's concerned because he's not going to be able to have his way. Like he thinks it's Burger King and always have his way. And he's appealed to the Fifth Circuit, New Orleans. He's going to lose again. And the best thing so far is the injunction has been implemented, and the process, the court process, as everybody in the country knows, takes a long time. And so we're talking about months from now before any ruling by a higher court. The Fifth Circuit, and certainly if it ever gets to the Supreme Court, it'll be at the end of this year or next year.
Ted, the Obama administration and others have said that this executive order is no different in kind and in scope than other executive orders that have been passed by other presidents. What's the truth on that?
Well, they're wrong. Of course they're wrong. There is no lawful authority of the President of the United States to say, you know what, I'm just going to say that 5 million people are lawfully in the United States that are unlawfully in the United States at this point. That's what he's done. That's not what other presidents have done. But just assume that they have executive orders under that type of philosophy. They were wrong too. There's nothing in the Constitution about an executive order. The president acted unlawfully. A federal judge found that he acted egregiously because he even failed to have public comment about his edict. So the left cannot use the defense, other people have done it. That didn't work in the courthouse when I was a judge, when somebody came in and said, well, I stole, but somebody else stole. So assume all of those actions by other presidents were unlawful. I don't think they all were, but assume that they were. That's no defense for the president to get his way on an appellate court decision.
Speaking of defending the president, 14 states are backing the president's plan. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this order, that's one of the president's appeals, and that's a good point. There were 25 states that sued the president, which was unprecedented in American history. Have that many states suing the federal government. And now he's saying, well, let it apply to just the 25, Texas being the main one. But these other states, let me go ahead and have my executive amnesty with those states. That's his second point on appeal. Our defense, the state of Texas and the 25 states' defense, or answer to that is, hey, that's ridiculous because people move across state lines. And so if you allow it for the people in these other states, those people will end up coming to the 25 states that have sued the president. So I don't think that my opinion is that the courts will rule that the injunction applies to all the states in the United States. But that is the two-pronged appeal on the part of the president.
Ted Poe, we want you to stay in place there because we've got more questions pertaining to your home state of Texas and what goes on in Washington, D.C. Good to have a judge who had the good sense of when he wanted to legislate actually go to Congress. More with Ted Poe and Larry Elder when we come back.
The district judge ruled that it was clear that the president's executive action violated what's called the Administrative Procedure Act. And because of that, it was unnecessary for the judge to dig deeper into the other legal claims that we've made.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott there, alongside Texas Senator Ted Cruz, hailing the decision by the federal judge in the Lone Star State to block our president's unilateral immigration order. Back now on America's Forum with Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, and rejoining us to continue this conversation, phoning in from Texas, United States Congressman Ted Poe, and from Newsmax L.A., our good friend Larry Elder. So, Ted, we take a look at this, and the judge who blocked this unilateral action at the federal level, the federal judge in Brownsville, also is very concerned about, 100,000 grants of green cards or working rights to people. He said he was misled on that. Can you unpack that for us a little bit? What else is going on with this judge and the administration?
The reason injunctions are rare, and you have to show, the state of Texas and the other states showed that if the injunction was not granted, the harm done would be so much that it could not be fixed, if you will. So if the administration gave out all these green cards, these work permits, it even led to welfare, etc., you could not undo that if eventually the state of Texas won the lawsuit. That's why, and the judge made these comments, that's why the injunction was imposed, because of the harm could not be repaired down the road. And it's also what you mentioned earlier about the executive action. The president has already mentioned that he's going to try something else, or thinking about trying executive action on the tax structure. He mentioned this kind of in a curt way that, he thinks the tax structure needs to be reformed, rather go to Congress. He might just unilaterally execute an executive order. So it's not over with the president, but the judge did the right thing, and it's going to be upheld on appeal.
Congressman, I have to ask you, in your opinion, what should be done with those estimated 5 million illegal immigrants that are in our country right now? What should happen?
Well, the folks that are in the country illegally, I don't have the answer for that, but they should not be allowed to receive American benefits while they are here. And it goes back to the magnet. It's the fact that they're coming into the United States, they get certain benefits, they get some work that people aren't allowed to, or people are hiring folks under the table, etc. So it's a big issue. But the point is, while they are here, they should not receive federal benefits. It is a magnet, and long term, I don't know the answer for all of the more than, I think, 20 million people that are here in the United States illegally, but not receive federal benefits while they are here.
Ted, this may also be an unfair question. Following up on what Miranda said, I'm in California. There's not a single Republican elected statewide, not one. And part of the reason is every time we have a promising candidate, he or she is asked about immigration, they answer the question in a way that people don't like, and they lose. What should a Republican say when asked, what would you do about the 10 million people in the country who are here illegally? What is the winning response to that, Ted?
We have to know who's in the United States. We don't know who's in the United States. And the Republicans need to come up with a plan of immigration across the board. There are 12 problems in immigration, not just what to do with the people that are here in the United States. It's whether it's the visa system, all of the other problems that we have in it. But we have to start with knowing who's in the United States. And the second thing is we have to prevent the magnet. Start at the basics. And the third thing is we've got to keep people from coming across the United States illegally. We have to do those things before we can ever deal with the people that are here illegally. But the answer to your question is we have to know who is in the country illegally to deal with them really on a case-by-case basis, the 20 million. But stop the magnet. Stop the magnet.
Congressman Ted Poe of Texas, we thank you for calling in to us this morning. We'll continue to monitor the progress, or perhaps the lack of progress, of the administration's appeal in the courts and see if that, in fact, is where this is settled. It'd be helpful if they let you guys in Congress come up with a plan of law enforcement. That's my editorial opinion for what it's worth. Thanks to Ted Poe, coming back with trending stories on The Wire.